I think the most important quality that an advisor can have is to be curious. I think historically, income protection has been perceived as a complicated product. We've had advisors who have told us they've been advising for 40 years and they didn't realise that they didn't have to talk about life insurance first. Don't underestimate what advisors know or don't know. I think it's so important as an advisor that you don't forget your purpose. Don't forget that you truly make a difference to people in the worst time of their lives.
Welcome back to another episode of The Money Honey with me, your host, Rosalia Lazzarotilli. I'm often faced with the conversation that advisors have that the advisor world is very lonely. You know, there's a lot of brokers out there, a lot of advisors building their businesses on their own, and it can feel very lonely. And trust me, you do not need to be an advisor to feel lonely. Even us marketers, despite us being very social and very out there, it can feel very lonely. As many of you know, if you've been following me for a while, you know I work in my shed. So here I am for those people viewing from YouTube, perhaps you watching this on video, you can see that I am in my shed. And for those listeners, please do check out social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. I often talk about my little shed in the garden and how I built not only my social media agency, but a #1 best-selling book, my AI app. I've built thousands of pieces of content for clients. I've done talks, you know, and my message to everybody who watches, whether you're feeling lonely or whether you're working at home alone in your, spare room, or you're in your garden, or you're in a skyscraper in Canary Wharf, it's not where you are that makes you feel lonely. It doesn't matter if you've got a shiny office or, like I said, a spare bedroom. It is about the people that you're surrounded with. And I am often here in my garden working alone, but I'm on calls all day with clients. And then I physically have to force myself to go out and meet people. I have to go to events, even though sometimes I don't fancy it, I just want to stay in my loungewear and stay at home. I often find that loneliness creeps in, not because I'm in a shed, but because I'm not surrounded by people. You could feel alone in London. I don't know how many of you have felt like this, where you're commuting through like the tube, or maybe you're in Manchester, or you're surrounded by so many people, but you feel alone because obviously you're not feeling connected. So I'm here to bring you an episode all about how to make yourself feel more connected, more involved and integrated within the community of whether you're in property or finance or protection, whatever industry you're in. You can apply these top tips, or you can apply this conversation to whatever it is that you're doing, because if you are alone, you're going to delay your learning, you're going to delay your growth, you're going to hold back your knowledge, you're going to hold back being able to learn more, because if you're at home and you're stuck in the four walls that surround you, and how are you going to learn what everyone else is doing? So that's why I brought to you today a special guest who I've been working with really closely over the last couple of years, and I've grown really, really fond of her. She's doing amazing things for advisors and herself. And I really do feel like this is going to be a powerful conversation about connection and about, you know, getting rid of that loneliness when it comes to raising and growing your advisor firm or your advisor business. So strap yourselves in, because who I've got for you today is the one and only wonderful Jo Miller, who is the managing director at IPTF, a consultant at Protection Review, and director at Brew and Miller. She has over 20 years experience in financial services, having previously worked in the financial services practice at EY in the central operations team before joining the protection industry after giving birth to her two lovely sons. So in 2024, this outstanding woman, Jo, won the Outstanding Contribution to the Industry Award at the Cover Women in Protection and Health Awards, and Insurance Leader of the Year at the Cover Excellence Awards. So as you know, I've got a very talented, very giving, very supportive, and very charismatic lady with you here today, who has a lot of experience with advisors, especially within the protection industry. So let's welcome Jo Miller.
Hi, Roz. Thanks for having me today.
Oh, my pleasure, Jo. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, yes. As we were just saying, just preparing for this, it's been a busy time, but I'd much rather be busy than twiddling my thumbs. So I've been really enjoying myself lately.
Good, good. I'm glad. That's the whole point of it. It's enjoying ourselves and enjoying the process and the journey. The to-do list is always going to be there. So, yeah, you might as well enjoy it. So, Joe, give us a little bit of an intro about why you work in the protection industry or your biggest joys and the biggest satisfaction you get from working in this industry.
So, why do I work in the protection industry? Well, I think probably like many people listening, um, I am someone who found themselves working in the protection industry. It wasn't on my list at the careers advice talk at school. I want to work in protection. I found myself working here because after I'd had my two children, um, it wasn't feasible for me to be commuting to work, paying nursery fees. Um, and being so far away from home. So I started to help out my dad, who worked in protection. And lo and behold, I found myself working in the protection industry. So he started Protection Review. He also founded the IPTF back in 2005. So it's a bit of a family business, really. I started by helping him out, and I guess the rest is history because I've never left. I saw working alongside him his passion. I saw his why. It's actually a very personal story. My godfather had multiple sclerosis, and he had an income protection policy, and it changed his life. It helped him not have to work when he wasn't well enough to. And I saw my dad really campaigning and advocating for it, that kind of protection for more people. Is very passionate about the fact that income protection is the protection policy that you're most likely to need to claim on, but it's the least sold. So I guess I watched from the sidelines initially and gradually became more involved in helping him try to raise the profile of income protection. He's now retired, although we do bring him in, and he works with the IPTF on the board still. But so that's really how I got here. I've never left because of the reason that I enjoy it, which is I guess I perceived when I joined protection insurance to be a financial services, a little bit dry, a little bit removed from people, and people are really important to me. What I found is the opposite, is that it is an industry where you can see the impact of our products on people's lives, and that's really important to me. And I just feel I can have an impact. I'm close enough to advisors in what I'm doing now, to help them help people at the worst time in their lives. So it it really sort of ticks all the boxes for me, I guess.
I did not know that it was your father's origin. I didn't even realize. And what a great success story when it comes to income protection, with your uncle. But why is it misunderstood or undersold or ignored? Like, what do you think is it down to?
So I think there's several reasons, right? We could do the whole podcast on that one question. I think historically income protection has been perceived as a complicated product. I think it's not simple, but I think is that the mindset plays a big role here, right? Essentially, income protection is really simple. It protects your income if you cannot work. There's flexibility with the product, which is where I think the complexity sometimes is perceived. But from an advisor's point of view, that flexibility is fantastic because you can tailor the product to what your client needs. Once you understand it, I think it's a no-brainer. It's not complicated, but historically, I think we maybe haven't invested in training advisors, in educating advisors. I think, advice practices have improved so much over the last sort of 5, 10 years, particularly with things like consumer duty. I think historically, life insurance, it's an easy conversation. A lot of people have heard of it. It's a low premium. It's fairly straightforward, right? Critical illness, again, easy conversation. Do you want a lump sum of money? People understand what that is, they get it. So, advice conversations have taken maybe the route of least resistance, if that's the nicest way to say it. Here's some life, here's a bit of CI as well. Oh, income protection, bit more complicated. I'll talk about that later, or oh, I've run out of time. Whereas now, I think we've been through a pandemic, we've been through a cost of living crisis. Dare I say it, people like the IPTF, we've really been pushing the case for income protection. We've been educating advisors on how to have those conversations. And of course, there's a regulatory obligation. All of that's a perfect storm. So there's a lot more conversations going on about it, thankfully.
Yeah, and on that topic of you saying about training and available tools to advisors, what is there available out there, and what are you guys doing about it?
So I guess the first thing to say, the really important thing to say, is there's so much out there. So if you're sat there listening to this thinking, I don't know where to find out, um, there's so much there to help you, so many resources. The best place to start, and perhaps it's no surprise I would say this, would be the IPTF website, because we've tried to collate all of the information out there, all of the tools and the calculators that are there on a section on our website called Advisor Tools. So that would be a great place to start. I say most insurers have got resources and sales aids and calculators, and things like claim stats, which can help you give case studies to your clients as well. So it's worth visiting all the insurer sites as well. It's worth tapping on your BDMs who, have extensive product knowledge, and can answer all your questions and talk to you about the sorts of clients, your client base, and what their characteristics are. So lots and lots of things. We also at the IPTF do something which, Roz, I know you'll be very familiar with, once a year in September, called Income Protection Action Week. And that is a week of hour-long webinars at lunchtime each day across the week, that's focused on income protection, on learning about the products, on what the issues might be, on how to have conversations, on how to build your brand as an advisor and get yourself out there. So you can find all of that again on the IPTF website, on our YouTube channel. If you follow us on LinkedIn and Instagram as well, you'll see snippets of the sorts of things we do that will always link through to further information. So short answer, there's so much out there. You've just got to go and look for it a bit. But IPTF's a good starting point.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I wanted to bring you guys on board. And a shout out to Vicky, by the way, who also champions a lot of advisors and is so passionate about putting all the tools and resources and events and speakers and everything together. So you guys do such a phenomenal job at that. But it is really about taking action, isn't it? It used to be called Income Protection Awareness Week. And I think, cleverly you guys changed that to Action Week, because you've got to take the action in order to see the results. So advisors listening to this right now, wanting to, offer more to their clients, be a more consultative, be more helpful in all the options that are available to clients. What do you think the today's advisor needs to be able to do? How do you think they should be set up for success and set up and equipped to support their clients, not just in their mortgage, but or just life insurance, but in the whole holistic advice and that the holistic offering that an advisor should offer a client?
So I think the most important quality that an advisor can have is to be curious, right? To be curious, to want to know about all the different products that they can offer their clients, to know them inside out, to know where they can find out more if they don't know, because no one's going to hold all the answers all the time. But the ability to know, actually, I know where to go and ask this question to get the information I need. So that curiosity, really important, but also the curiosity with your client. Get to know them, have a really good, in-depth conversation with them, not just a tick box of I've got a form in front of me that I'm filling in, and I'm gonna, I need the answer to this specific question. Once you know your client, you know what their aspirations are, what their goals are. Are they trying to save for a mortgage? Do they already have a property? Do they want, a chain of properties? Are they trying to put their children through private school? Do they not have children? Do they want to start their own business? Whatever it is, there's going to be a need. And the more you can know your clients and know, okay, so in 6 months' time or a year's time, there might be a need for me to get back in touch. It might be worth me checking in because they're trying to do this. So, yeah, all of that boils down to curiosity. I think as well, just that empathy, put yourself in the place of your client. If you were trying to set yourself up to achieve whatever their goals are, what would you want? What type of conversations would you want with your advisor? What would you want them to offer you? How often would you want them to touch base with you? And how do you want your meeting to take place, for example? Most people, I think nowadays, because of time pressures and the technology we've got available, it's online, but your client might want to meet face to face initially. So really, putting yourself in your client's shoes, if you like, will allow you to get that relationship off on the best footing. I think so. In a way, that's tailoring and personalizing what you offer your clients. I think so important.
Absolutely. Instead of that tick box exercise or that fact find that you just need to fill out the box and, just a bare minimum just to scrape by. But what do you think maybe not advisors, sorry, what do you think providers can do to support advisors more? Could they do more? Are they doing enough? What are they doing? Give us a little bit of a lowdown on that from their perspective.
So I think, I mean, I'm never going to say no one can do more, right? We're always, all of us, whatever side of the fence you're on, if you're an advisor or a provider or somewhere in between, you could always be doing more and you should always be thinking about what those things are. I think providers do a lot. As I say, we've already mentioned a lot of the tools that exist. I think anything around advisor education is really important. Don't underestimate what advisors know or don't know. If they're on a panel and they've got several insurers to know inside out, then just dropping them a line with, an update or new development or where they can find out more can't do any harm. So communication definitely key. Lots of training. There's some fantastic webinars that go on as well. And then just those materials, as we've said, like case studies as well, those really help bring scenarios to life. So yeah, I think there's a lot of great work going on. So I wouldn't want to, dismiss that, but we should never, assume that we've cracked it and we've got it right. We can always be doing more. We've got AI now. We should all be making the most of that as well and thinking, how can this help us be more efficient? There's always going to be more to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I always, go to bed. One little part of me is like, yay, what a great day. And the other part's like, is that it? I've got so much more to do. And I'm like, oh God, it feels so overwhelming. And it is overwhelming. And it's hard to kind of pat yourself on the back when you've taken so long to do something. And then actually there's just something else there for you to do, like AI, for example.
Yeah.
And off the back of Income Protection Action Week, which I was so proud to be a part of. What's been the best action that's been taken? Have you had any success stories of people actually having taken action and shared with you, like, oh, off the back of XYZ webinar or off the back of the talk of, this is what I did and it was amazing? Like, is there anything like that that you could share with us?
We have had some fantastic stories and insights actually over the years. We've been running it 5 years now, and each year there's always something that surprises you, which is quite amazing actually. After 5 years, you think, we know it now. We know how this works. We know roughly the format and what's going to happen. But every year there's something. We've had some amazing things. So people working in the industry have posted on social media that we often ask people to use the hashtag because of IPOR. So what are you doing because of IPOR? We have had people who I won't name because they should know better, but because of IPOR have gone to sort out their own income protection. They work in the industry, they haven't had income protection in place. They've watched IPOR and understood the difference it can make to them. So they've gone to sort out their own policy. We have had, a whole range of advisors. So we're often sort of doing the moderation of questions and things behind the scenes. We've had advisors who have told us they've been advising for 40 years, and they didn't realise that they didn't have to talk about life insurance first. So back to the education point, we've had advisors saying, this has changed the way I'm going to have conversations. I'm going to lead with what my client is trying to achieve, their needs, and then I'm going to talk about the policies that could help them achieve that, which is amazing, right? That's exactly what we want to hear. We've had very new mortgage advisors who said, I didn't realize I could also talk about income protection at the same time. I thought I had to do the mortgage first and then try and talk about income protection. So all sorts of things. And sometimes it's the little things, right? Just like the tutorials that you do for us, which are very focused on, exactly what your next step is. And people, I think you'll not be surprised to hear that people are reluctant sometimes to get out there and put themselves out there. But I think the sort of tutorials you do encourage people to go, right, do you know what? I'm just going to give it a go. I'm gonna do that first video and see what happens. And lo and behold, you then start seeing them regularly. So it's fantastic. As I say, with the emphasis being on action now, it really is good to see things happening because of it, not just think, oh, I hope people know more as a result of watching.
No, I love that. I have to obviously keep my own clients accountable, myself accountable, and I think if you're surrounded by other people who are taking action, I think I've noticed a lot of my clients come to me first saying, "Oh, I'm scared to do a video. Can I pay you to help me?" Um, and then it's not about the video anymore or about putting themselves out on social media because they're surrounded by me and my clients who have achieved way more than just putting yourself out there on social media. My clients have become authors, public speakers. They've started events, so they've grown just way more beyond the, oh, here's my first video on social media. So new clients coming in because they can see the art of the possible and me taking action. If you can't keep up, like as soon as you see me say, oh, I might do this, I've done it. And so I think that kind of that energy is contagious. And if you're that, by going back to being lonely and going back to being lonely in this business, if you are on your own at home, trying to learn on your own, do on your own, and you're not going to have that contagious energy by being surrounded by other people who are also on a mission. And that's the spirit of IPTF, isn't it? Is that you've got a community, you've got a network there of people who can help you. So what's on the horizon then for IPTF? Is there more in-person stuff or is there more online activity? Like what's coming up as help for advisors?
So much actually coming up. It's that time of year as well when we're planning for next year. And actually, just to pick up on your point about community, that is something we have really noticed at IPTS since we've been working with our 7 advisors who we choose each year. We have 7 that we work with closely. They generally then go on to become IPTF ambassadors. So we've got a community of about 21 advisors now. Um, we've noticed from them actually that there is a longing and a sense for community. Often, even if they're part of a large firm, they can be working at home, quite isolated all day. And we really do sense an appetite to learn from others and to be connected for others as well. So, a lot of what we're doing next year will continue that. So, yes, there'll be lots of sharing other advisors' experiences, so sharing best practice and with the emphasis always being on what can you learn, what can you take away, and what can you apply. We will be looking at the issue of advisor mental health and loneliness and trying to look at ways we can build community as well. And as ever, the way we work at IPTF is very much focused on action. We have work streams for our members to be part of, and they are not meetings for meeting's sakes. We meet with a specific objection in mind. We're here because this is an issue. What can we do about it? What are we going to do about it? And when are we going to do it? So we have work streams on proposition. We have our education work stream, which plans IPOR, obviously. We have proposition and distribution work streams, government and regulation work streams. We have our 7 claims work that's going to carry on next year as well. And AI, we're going to be looking at AI and digital next year as well. So lots and lots going on, and another IPOR coming in September as well, of course.
Amazing. Yes. Yeah. Can't wait for all this stuff to be rolled out. Yeah, every time I've been a part of it, it's been super impactful. And so many advisors like sharing and getting those light bulb moments. I'm certainly noticing a lot more light bulb moments around the actual products itself. And people taking action not just for their own family but also for their clients, realizing how much more they can do for them. And people just looking at their business differently as well, like looking at that brand awareness, looking at that marketing side. Some people are hesitant to talk about life insurance or critical illness or income protection on social media, but then you show them all the successful advisors who have done it well, and suddenly it all feels possible again. So yeah, you guys definitely truly do put together an entire campaign that shows the art of the possible and all the action steps that you can take towards there, and not feel alone because you do have that supportive environment.
Yes.
So I want to touch on your awards. We have to recognize those. So well done for winning awards. What did you do to get those? As in, we all can't predict when we're going to get them and if we're going to get them, but what put you in the position of winning them? Like, did you apply? Did you work on something specific? Talk to me about that journey of how you got 2 awards in your name.
So it starts with a very funny story actually, because the first award I won, the Outstanding Industry Leader, I didn't know it wasn't one that you enter or apply for. I didn't even know that I was in contention for it. So I was very kindly invited to the award ceremony by Scottish Widows, and I was sat with them. And I was enjoying the awards, but I thought, I'm just going to pop to the toilet because there won't be a queue for once because everyone's here and I'm not needed in the room for the awards. So off I went, and then got chatting. You know how it is. Met a couple of industry colleagues, hadn't seen them for a while, so it was
Torch in the toilets. It's always about the networking.
exactly. Us women know that's what we're doing. We're having a good chat and a catch up, and suddenly one of my fellow guests at the table came charging into the toilets and told me I needed to get upstairs very quickly. And I was really confused because I said, "Well, I'm not actually here because of the awards. I'm enjoying watching them, but I'm not." And she said, "No, no, you just need to run." So I duly followed her upstairs into the room, and I thought this is going to be so embarrassing because she's definitely mistaken here. I'm not here for the awards, but very quickly realised when I entered the room that I was there for the awards and I hadn't realised. So I had not a clue at all. And it's still something that people quite often say to me when they see me at Expo. Oh, you were the one that wasn't there. That's right. So genuinely wasn't aware that I was even in contention for that. So it was a lovely surprise. Um, why did I win it? Well, obviously I wasn't there, of course, in the room to hear what was said about why I won it. Luckily someone did record it for me. Um, but I think at that time as well, I was also working with the PDG, I was working with IPTF and with Protection Review. So I had quite a unique opportunity to have that view right across the industry and to work with different parts of the industry to make sure that everyone was aligned and working together to try and achieve things. So that was a very auspicious sort of time for me, and very lucky to be able to do that. And I think the second award I did enter, I think it's never been on my radar until that first award, to sort of enter awards, but I thought, well, actually, maybe this does put me in the opportunity where I could rightfully say that I influence people now, and I'm having important conversations. So I thought I'll try it. I'll put in my entry, and yeah, was surprised but delighted to win that one. And yeah, I think, as I say, for the similar reasons for the first award, I think I'm in a very unique and lucky opportunity, sort of in that position in the industry to work with all different aspects. So I might be having conversations with reinsurers one day, insurers, and then advisors. I might be talking to portals. or anyone really with an interest in the industry, I can be working with. So I think that's really helped me have a view and given me opportunities that I wouldn't have if I was, say, working just for an insurer or just with advisors.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. You are an absolute star in the industry, and awards or no awards, you do so much, and it is nice to be recognized, and it is nice to have your name, be called. But I'm sure um, there are so many other categories, there's so many other awards that you would be so suitable for. You don't there's just only so many like opportunities, isn't there, at these events, and there's only so many categories, and there's so many people, so many talented people in the industry. So well done for two under your belt. What about advisors? What would you say as a final message to advisors who perhaps are in that do I even matter, does anyone even care about me, will I ever, they might be feeling a little bit stuck. They can see maybe they're comparing themselves to other advisors who have, massively grown their business. What would you say to those advisors, especially if they're working on their own, as like your final closing remarks?
Yeah, so I think it's so important as an advisor you don't forget your purpose. We did a session this year in IPOR on mindset, which probably reiterates a lot of what I would say, but don't forget your purpose. Don't forget that you truly make a difference to people in the worst time of their lives. So if you think that you don't matter, tell that to the person who suddenly finds that they can't work because they're long-term sick. And you're the one that, because of your advice, you kept their mortgage paid, you kept food on the table. There's not much more you can do. Obviously, doctors and nurses have got a huge role to play, but actually keeping life normal should not be underestimated. It's really, really important. And it is one of those roles that, you don't realize until you go through it, until the point of claim. You don't realize how grateful you are that you had that conversation. So for a lot of the time, you do it and then it's totally forgotten about. And that's quite difficult, but you shouldn't ever forget that if that client needs to make the call, then you're the difference. So that's so important. Don't compare yourself to others. Be authentic to yourself and do it your way. Because as long as you've got your purpose and your mission in mind, you'll be doing just fine.
I love that. I love that about the purpose. And I'll finish off with um, a fun fact about bees, that they are born with their role already assigned, as in once they're born, they automatically go to what they already automatically know. I just do not know how this is possible, but they automatically know if they're going to be the ones that stay in the hive and, protect the queen, or if they're going to be the ones that are out mating, or if they're going to be the ones that are out looking for pollen. And they are born and they automatically go to work. And a lot of people ask me, Joe, just as on a cheesy note, like, why yellow, why bees? Was that like your favorite color? And without like, or your favorite animal, no, is the answer. But without going into like the long story of the origin story of like the branding, what I then realized, once I picked the bee branding, I went to look into it a little bit more detail, and I realized how fitting the bee symbol is for our community of advisors, because how I see advisors like bees is that they work independently on their own. True? Yeah. So every bee works alone. However, as a collective, as a whole, they make up the industry. So, like, as a collective, the bees make up the honey, right? The bees can't make honey on their own. They might work and go out all on their own and then come back to one place. And I see that so fitting for advisors, that you might feel like a lonely little bee out there buzzing around. You've got your own community, your own clients, your own job, but actually, if you don't come back to the to the hive, you're not going to make that honey. And I think that's the symbol of you um, being in a clique, in a community, being surrounded by other bees who are in your position. And I hope that bringing IPTF to you, maybe you already know of it, right? Or this is the first time you've come across IPTF, or maybe you're listening to this and you're like, IPTF has got nothing to do with because we've got different types of listeners, but if it's got nothing to do with your industry, I hope that this episode has given you an example of how well a community can actually work together when you all pull through. So thank you, Jo, for representing.
Thank you for having us. I think collaboration is one of our key values, and yeah, we all achieve more when we work together. So absolutely,
100%.
agree with everything you say.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jo. It's been so good to be on the other side interviewing you this time and giving IPTF a spotlight. So thank you for being here today, and a shout out to the whole IPTF community, all the speakers, all the sponsors, all the facilitators. Thank you. It's been a pleasure being part of this journey, and I will see you at the next Action Week. Take care, everyone.